feel like you have like a Satan stuffed animal doll that's your best friend.
Wow, that's pretty accurate.
Weird. That's actually, I have a doll.
Assumption.
It's a doll that I've put on a star and then summoned the soul of Satan in hopes that I could join the Illuminati, and it has not worked. I sacrificed a
Don't give
cousin.
up.
I killed a goat. You know. I
You
don't know
did
why
kill
you're-
a goat. I saw a video of that.
I don't know why you're smiling, George, because you're next. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
They
God.
asked me to
Here
join.
at Human
So
Sacrifice.
what was this? What was the show
Evil eye
about that you
bracelet.
had?
It was about friends that, you know, are secretly hating each other.
So L.A. It's about
Basically,
L.A. Everyone
Los
in L.A.
Angeles, yeah.
I feel a lot could relate to that.
Yeah.
A lot of people. I feel like a lot of people could relate to the concept of having friends that you're actually in competition with.
Yeah.
And that's a very industry dynamic.
Yeah.
And I feel like it works more with girls. Do you feel like girls have more frenemies or guys?
Girls. Guys are like, oh, that sucked, dude. And then they get over it. Girls are like, oh, yeah, that was fine. I hate her.
Yeah.
You know?
Really?
Like it's so fake. I didn't know that someone hated me until 6 months later. I was like, you haven't returned my phone calls or text messages or emails.
You got ghosted.
I see you in the grocery store. Like, what is your problem with me? And she finally told me. But I'm
And
like,
what was the problem?
why? Because I wouldn't drive her home one night
And she held that in her heart.
for 6 months.
But you know what? I feel like guys do that too. And my way of detecting if someone is secretly hating on me is if they don't celebrate with me. So, you know, I do a post of an accomplishment. If you don't like it, I'm watching. I'm watching what you're not doing. I'm actually watching more what you're not doing than watching what you're doing.
Yo, I'm about to go post on all your little pictures right now.
Better, bro. I've been
You know,
concept.
my
It's
been a while
girlfriend
since
said
I
the
got a
same
like from him.
thing. She was like, are you mad at me? You didn't like my picture.
No, see,
That's a thing.
See, that's a little much. So I'm not implying that you have to like every photo, but in your moments of achievement, if you feel alone in those moments, something's up. Because
Yeah.
your friends, if they truly support you, especially in an industry like this, where our lives revolve around our goals and journeys, and if someone doesn't support them, that's not a good thing.
Ooh, that's a good
Words of the week.
Sure.
That's my
I've
words of the week.
Yep.
I've
That's
noticed in a concept, good words of the week, you drop those quick. Those are bars.
Those are bars, and they were like in the moment and off the top of the head. It was just
When
speaking my
girls
truth.
call each other, they're like, hey, bitch. Those are friends. But if they're like, no, sweetheart, some shit's about to happen.
Oh, yeah, the other
Sweetheart
day.
is the new bitch.
No. And
Whoa.
honey.
Honey.
You know this
Honey.
girl. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Both of
Honey.
you all know what I'm talking
Oh.
about. Oh, yes.
We
This
saw
girl
what
was
honey
like,
happen.
she was like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. And I was like, oh, you want to play this sweetheart game with me, bitch? I was like, it's fine, honey. I'll find someone to replace
You did use the honey back.
I was like, you want to play this sweetheart game?
So-
I'll play it
so
all day.
basically-
I'll play it all day.
For those who don't speak Larchmont white girl, what happened was
I love Larchmont.
She said,
Me too.
yeah,
Spirit
you
fingers.
dumb bitch. And you were like, you hoe ass cunt. And then it went back and forth.
That's really what
That's
those
really what
were,
happened,
the
yeah.
terms of endearment. I thought y'all were being polite.
That's kale. Those were kale for cuss words.
Kale for cuss words.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the concept.
I'm learning so much. See, this is why we have y'all in here, because I'm already learning.
I'm
so
getting
much.
it. I'm getting it. So we play a game on the show, either or. And the concept is we want to know more about you. But there are rules to this game.
Yeah, so you get two options. There's
Two
no,
options.
There's no gray area. There's no third new option. You have to pick one of the two that we give to you.
It is what it is. And we will analyze each and every answer. And we're expert analysts, actually.
We kind of are. We may
Kind of.
psychoanalyze.
No. We do it amazingly. Don't downplay we are experts. People call us to interpret themselves.
They do.
I would like to begin with the either or question that's very pertinent to the demographic of LA. Black guys or Mexican guys?
Brianna, care to answer
she
first?
deferred. We didn't say you can't defer.
Well, I would say Mexican because I've already dated a Mexican guy.
Interesting. Interesting.
Oh, I still have to answer.
Yes, shit. Of course.
Well, I am part Mexican, so Mexican.
Interesting that you say I am part Mexican, justifying your homogenous mindset that because I'm something, that must be the right way to be.
I'm actually
And that
not
is-
half Mexican.
That is what I. And now she also lied to justify it.
My last name is Spanish, so that's what I meant.
Interesting.
I have some Spanish
Interesting.
ancestry.
So my
Interesting.
psychoanalysis is that Sheila, you never know when she's telling the truth or not, because I just
I'm a
believed her.
pathological liar.
You know, sometimes she lies.
Makes her a good actor, I'm
and
sure.
it sparks some sort of arousement within, like, I'm getting one up on you. I am better than you.
I just thought she was a liar. And she's also, and a lot of racists do that when they're like, I have a black friend. And you're like, what's his name? Jamal. And there are no black people named Jamal. The 80s ended a long time ago.
Steve Urkel.
Oh, okay.
His name is Jamal.
It is.
Oh yeah, his real
is.
name is Jamal.
Is it actually?
Yeah, it really
I know
is.
black
Wait, are
people.
you telling the truth, Sheila?
I don't know if it is.
Let's go Google it.
Is he Malcolm Jamal Warner? Who are you? I don't know who Steve Urkel's real name. And no
Yeah,
one does. His name is
that's
Urkel.
it.
And
So.
my
That's it.
and my analysis of Brianna. Have you watched Love and Basketball?
No.
I didn't think so. And I think if she had watched Love and Basketball, she may have leaned towards the brother.
I think that Brianna's saying, "Hey, I'm used to something, so I'll choose it, but I'm not opposed to adventure. I'm not
Exactly.
opposed to what's next or taking a left turn when I know I should go right." Very interesting.
Wow,
Very interesting.
that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. This one I'm just pulling out of the air.
Interesting.
Cher or Shakira? And I don't know how these two singers came up in my mind right now.
Shakira all the way.
Shakira all the way because you're part Mexican.
Because
Interesting.
I'm part whatever she is.
Interesting.
She's Lebanese
Belly
and Colombian,
dancer.
so she's like part me.
There you go.
I'm gonna go with Cher because she's like 70 and still a badass, and I love that.
All right, and this is my interpretation. You know, Brianna, she enjoys historic things. She enjoys the vintage. She sees a value in age. She likes wine that is aged. She likes liquor that is aged if she drank, but she doesn't. And Sheila, on the other hand, she's more of a modernist. If she were to purchase a home, she would like the clarity, the white walls, the
Interesting.
glass
This is
high
true.
ceilings.
This is actually
That's
on the
extremely
menu.
interesting. I had a different take.
Okay,
I
what's your
thought
take?
that Brianna, from her choice, means that she likes good dick and good love and can separate the two.
Okay.
Right? And then I felt that Sheila is unable to separate the two as well. And so they go hand in hand.
And why the lack of separation?
Simply because she lied on the first question. So a lot of girls that
I'll never be forgiven.
lie are crazy, and so she's way more likely to key a car. Like keying a car.
Hey.
Keys a car.
Or pay
Tag,
someone
you're
to
it.
do it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with it's spaghetti or lasagna.
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 Ooh,
It's
strong.
cheesy and good. You could put some eggplants or vegetables in that, or you can put some meat in there. So many variations.
Interesting.
I have
It
a
has
More of a
layers.
meal.
I have a joint interpretation.
No, she needs to explain why.
She agreed.
I love the layers.
the layers.
The layers.
See, it's different. You have to remember. We have to get an explanation. We need to know why they chose what they chose.
I thought it was joint when you were nodding, so I thought you were agreeing. Okay. Are you done?
I like the layers.
And
And I like the fact that you can put a lot of things in it. There's a lot of surprises. You don't know what you're going to get.
Oh.
there you go.
deep.
See, that was
That's why I
critical.
asked for
Thank you.
explanations.
Thank you. That was a critical detail. So I'm going to start with Brianna based on the first observation. Brianna has patience, but not a lot of it. So she doesn't want to sit there and twirl long strings of spaghetti in
No,
a
I
tedious
really don't.
fashion.
No.
She likes the instant gratification of biting into the lasagna. The layers, now this is an answer you both gave, is that you're just simply not basic people. You know, there's a depth to both of you. You don't appreciate it when men just shout at you and catcall. You appreciate men and women who will like to have a full conversation with you. And lastly, with Sheila, she likes a little bit of mystery. She likes spontaneity. That's something she looks for in dating. She doesn't like someone who's just monotonous or
Spontaneity
boring.
is always a good thing.
Yeah, and that's it.
Interesting. I had a a slightly different take on that.
Okay.
I had a slightly different take. I felt that while I liked how you said Brianna's not patient, however, she's extremely tolerant. And a lot of people confuse the two.
Is she
While
lactose
you're very
tolerant?
tolerant, Sheila, on the other hand, is very patient. She's a patient person, but I don't know how tolerant she is. So the concept is, here we have someone in Brianna who likes adventure, who likes different flavors, who's willing to go outside, once again, the box and see things. For what she's looking for is a meaning within itself. While Sheila over here is looking for a deeper meaning, layers to each and every individual. There's complex, which means that she has walls herself, and that you don't get to truly know the real Sheila until you take a bite and you actually simmer the taste.
So where does it?
I would agree with that,
Well,
actually.
and
That's
where does
pretty
it-
on the money.
Thank you. Yeah,
And
I do this.
how and where does the tolerance come into play?
Tolerance is the concept of tolerance is interesting because a lot of people confuse the two. Tolerance is, for example, the ability to understand different peoples and different lifestyles, understand them even if you don't condone them, that you're able to do so. That's tolerance. Patience comes in of a form of something, for example, not having the patience to stand things like incompetence. That's not something that you deal with very well. Not having the patience to deal with people who do not see things or extremely hypocritical, as in, I'm open-minded, but if you don't think what I think, then you're not open-minded. That's not being open-minded. That's where people lack patience.
And these walls that Sheila's putting-
Sheila's walls.
Do Sheila's walls, which is the name of my next screenplay, her white walls, her white modern walls, do Sheila's walls prevent her from being tolerant?
Well, actually, what it is Sheila's walls hide some sort of pain that she holds close to her, and she doesn't let everyone in because she feels as if she does, she's such a reciprocating, loving person that once you're in, she almost has patience for so much that it gets misused all the
get
time
it.
and abused.
So accurate. Literally
hurting here.
so
Well,
accurate.
she's hurting.
Like everybody, I feel like with Sheila, she's one of my closest friends. She is such a loving person, but I feel like also she doesn't let people in because she is such a loving person, and people take advantage of that.
And are you sensing that Sheila's walls are used to bounce weird people off of her and onto her friends to tell her friends to go on
Okay,
dates
so
with
let
them?
me explain the concept, okay? And we're going to talk about this because an exciting adventure happened when...
No.
And this is the thing. And this is the thing. As a person, and I can only imagine both of you are intelligent and also very attractive.
Thank you.
It must be offensive at some points when a person comes to you and assumes that they could be with you. When you look at them or how they are or who they are, sometimes it must be offensive. Like, why did you think I would be attracted to you? For example, if a skinhead came and started hitting on you, then you'd be like,
Honestly,
why would you feel like we had something in common?
The thing that really bothers me is that, like, I feel that we are all just like meat sacks. I could be like 500 pounds, but like the fact that somebody will just be like, oh, I want to date you. You don't want to know who I am, what I like, what I dislike. You just see my shell and you're just like, I want to date you. So I'm like, that makes me feel, not like a person.
Sure.
And
Unless
so-
you're someone like me who automatically gets to know people quickly, and therefore it's actually time consuming to get the point. Like, I already know what's going to happen. Just let it happen. It's like, look, listen, trust me. I know. You're like, you don't know. Yeah, I do.
I get that impression,
But
actually.
I do. But that's the concept. I understand what you're saying. Basically, I'm
Sheila's
interchangeable.
walls and Tehran's nose, but nose is a play on words.
It's a double entendre.
Yeah.
Andre, yeah.
Interesting, but it's not. So the concept is, when it comes to George, Sheila had a friend. Her friend's name, it was like Fatima or something. Some very nice, wonderful, sweet person.
Professor X.
I don't know.
Professor X.
Professor X would be in a wheelchair. This was a round, beautiful person who was like
Exactly.
She was not specifically an attractive girl. Now, you put her on to George as if George would date. And here's the thing, and I will give George so much credit for this.
Thank
I'm
you.
going on
And
record
I'm gonna.
for saying that George is a person
Bestow
who
your
can look beyond
credit
the
upon me.
exterior
He
into
does.
the interior
I know
and
that
still
about
date
him.
someone, which we have seen in the past.
On TV.
In general,
Yes.
he will look beyond
Exactly.
the exterior and see the beauty within. However, you have to have some type of exterior. You actually still have to be decent. You can't be this person that you brought to his attention was not a particularly attractive person, but what made her attractive to me per se was the fact that she was also an awkward, wonderfully eccentric person who I could see as someone I would watch and be enthralled by her actions and wonder in my head, why is she doing this? But I could never see as a mate.
By
Right.
weird, are you alluding to her as?
I never said the word weird.
Oh, you didn't.
Eccentric.
Thanks.
Eccentric.
I did.
Eccentric's kind of fun.
Eccentric's
Weird is like
fun.
bad.
Yeah.
Eccentric, are you alluding to her Islamic Tourette's?
Her bringing up her
I'm Muslim.
religion every 3
Oh, you
to
said the word
5
religion
minutes
because I'm Muslim.
is interesting. It was interesting. I enjoyed it.
Is it interesting because I fast because I'm Muslim?
No. What?
You don't drink?
Someone
You're
like,
Muslim?
hey man, I just slammed the door. Did you say Islam? No. What?
Okay.
It
What
was,
did I
it was
miss?
very fun.
No.
It was very fun for me. I enjoyed watching
Right.
this person. I also enjoyed, and honestly, I said Fatima just because I don't know her name. I
Right.
wouldn't say her
That's a
name. I just
likely
don't know her name.
guess, though.
I was enjoying George's uncomfortable interaction with her. And
Oh my
I
God.
still
George is
saw
so
George.
I
I still
too.
saw George
Beautiful.
give her a try. As saying,
did.
I am willing to
course.
have a
Definitely
conversation
did.
with you, and maybe I'll get to know the real you, and I'll be attracted to the
I
real you
was
because
ha-
my good friend Sheila has recommended
Yes,
you and
under
your,
the tongue of rapport,
your
which is
heart
very
and your
important.
vagina to me. Like you have
Well,
recommended.
I don't know if that's on the table
That
because she
might-
is
you-
Muslim.
Okay. But there, I see a lot of Christians out there having sex. Like her being Muslim doesn't mean that she would or
in
not
this
would
case,
not.
She's more of
she's
an
practice-
extremist.
Yeah, she's
Muslim
practicing
in that
Right.
regard.
I've seen a lot of extremists 72
Well,
virgin it
this-
up.
So
Well,
Sheila was
she
trying
was
to put
hoping-
me
Can I-
in danger? Extremist?
Can I have,
I
can
was
I
like,
have
Sheila,
like
why did you do that? I
time
actually
to speak my
I
defense?
questioned her.
So did
about
Can I
Sheila
speak my
assume that I
defense
was
here?
Muslim because I am Middle Eastern?
Can I speak my
And was she
defense?
playing Muslim matchmaker?
Okay, can I explain what happened there? Okay, so I never even thought of George for her, but we were helping one another in our search for the one, and she was talking about watching your show, Shaw's.
Okay.
Okay, and I was like, oh, my
I'm gonna
friend
need
George.
way more than this right
She
now.
my
also
friend-
recommended a really horrible guy for Sheila.
So
Can I
when
just
she
say
said
that?
when she
So
said Shaw's,
she offered you a horrible guy. So in retribution, you offered
No.
George.
no, it makes complete sense. She thought she could compete with who I dated on Shaw's. Or she thought she was in the same category of
So,
person?
well, what it was is George is like one of the sweetest, nicest, good-hearted people I know,
Thank you.
True.
and she's a good person. She has a good heart, and she wanted practice in dating. And I said, look, you guys are probably not going to be a match, but if you want practice with a good guy, he will be a good guy, and he'll treat you well.
Yeah.
Boom.
So I'm just practice? I'm a tool?
You didn't.
I was
Oh,
waiting
you
for that. I was waiting
I'm
for
a
that.
tool?
You didn't think I would be good practice? I need to
Well,
understand.
I
Now I
actually
need to
thought
understand.
of you. I thought of you too, but I wasn't sure if you're a Muslim.
They had more
So
chemistry.
you thought George was Muslim?
No, we talked about
George's
the show.
dad is a pastor. I just
We
want to throw
talked-
that out.
I
A
knew
pastor
that.
Sheila
who
knows
has his
that.
own church.
Well, no, but that's
I've
the
prayed
thing.
with Sheila before
No, but
in
that's the thing.
church.
She values people who aren't Muslim that she can convert to. No, who?
So
no.
you're trying to convert me
pastor's
and then
son.
recruit me to
Who comes
extremism.
from a country
No.
in which there has been a conflict and a peaceful
Right.
collusion between all the religions, where there are people who are of different religions living and coexisting well.
Right. Well, what I meant is
Because they don't allow conversion.
Right. Well, what I meant is like they shared a spirituality, a strong spirituality that they could
Interesting.
at
Oh,
least
because
share.
she was, and I don't. Once again, I have no problems with a Muslim being with a Christian at all. I'm just saying, I have a problem with some ugly bitch being hooked up with my friend. Did I say that wrong?
Come on, Tarad, why did you say that?
What did I say?
That wasn't nice.
Well, you said she was a beautiful brown woman, so
No, never said
in
that.
the beginning.
No.
say
I
that.
did
Brown
not.
or
I said
round?
interesting and eccentric and
I
use
heard some
words.
beautiful in there.
Here's the thing.
I
If you
heard
ever
beautiful.
said,
I heard beautiful.
If you, I said on the inside.
You know what? Tehran did seem to have chemistry there. They were arguing
Yeah,
a little
maybe you
bit,
just
and there
want
was
her.
an
we weren't
awkward.
arguing. You know what?
It might have been
Honestly,
She said that she
romance.
liked a few.
Well,
of the
she
posts.
is a Libra, and you're an Aquarius.
sure.
It's a good match. I'm just telling you.
Wow. And she said what, Sheila?
Yes, I can see how the
So-
zodiac sign defines who I am as a person, but no. And here's the
Well, and
thing.
Sheila made an important detail. Can you share it again? She
I hope
what?
she never hears this show. Please God, please God. So one of the reasons why we stopped talking was partly because of that night, because she kept obsessing about this. You guys.
Wait, both of us? She wanted
George.
both of us?
Well, like
Just George.
she was just saying, I messaged George and he get it. I'm like, I don't know.
That's cute. Listen,
then
she seemed.
I'm
Listen,
outside of
I
his
thought she was
apartment right
wonderful.
now to see
I honestly
me.
thought she was.
You are not invited to
I
tie-dye.
enjoyed her. I enjoyed her as a person.
Yeah.
I don't see how you look. And here, and
You
this
did
needs to be
enjoy
a
her.
rule.
I saw how you looked
I
at
did.
her.
I enjoyed her. I think people should. When you date outside of your means, there should be a reason.
Right.
There should be a reason. And I can understand when people aim high, shoot for the stars, end up on the moon. I appreciate that mentality.
Right.
However, dating outside of your means doesn't mean that as a friend, and I would understand if you weren't George's friend, but you should have some type of awareness, an awareness of, okay.
Well, now I know what
okay.
she thinks of me.
No. And I thought your friend was, I thought she was wonderful. And honestly, when I was just being funny,
Yeah.
like, shock value. But the truth of the matter is, I'm sure she's very adequately good looking for her, whoever she's going to be with. And you don't start with a pro when you're an amateur. You start off like, maybe you start with Martin.
That's
We
what,
start with
that's
Martin.
what that's what an
Come
amateur does
Martin's
because she
very
doesn't
good
have
looking.
experience. She's
Yeah.
like, well, I can do whatever because this is the first time I'm trying this in my
Yeah,
life.
but you
Yeah.
don't. You
You
don't do
know?
that. You don't
She
put
doesn't
an
know. She
amateur
doesn't
on.
have mistakes
Yeah,
to look
exactly.
upon.
I know, but you don't give her. You don't give an amateur comedian a Showtime special. It's just not a good idea. You don't have the material.
But she
You don't
doesn't know that she
I
can't
know
get that
she
Showtime
She
special.
couldn't be. You know, what's she gonna do?
Well, it was really because she doesn't have experience even talking to guys.
So
So,
what did she-
I felt like George
So you don't
would
go
be-
to a pro. What
not
I'm saying is,
necessarily to date, but like to talk to him. And he was.
She didn't talk to me. She yelled at my friend. She yelled, "You don't drink? I'm Muslim."
she did do that.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god,
I was
this
like,
sounds
whoa.
so great.
This is not.
I was like,
why
"Let
we're
me
not
hide my
friends.
cocktail."
I don't know why you're not friends. So I don't
Well,
know.
this is- it's like a
did she
accumulation of
obsess over
everything.
George? What happened with George?
It was just a big thing where she was obsessing about you guys, about the posts, and then
Because I
was,
like posts.
Yeah, she's like, oh, he liked my post. I'm like, look,
I had a long talk with Tehran about
And I
this.
was like, look.
Tehran targets women who follow me. And I swear, now that I know you did it
That's-
with her,
that's-
now I know why you don't think she's a good match with me.
That's
You have
not
designs in her.
true at all.
You liked her.
So-
I sensed the chemistry. You
maybe
DM'd
you
her.
gotta
George
You
give it a
has
wanted her.
shot.
George has this opinion that
Did you hear this from
George
her?
has this opinion and he doesn't realize, George, we run in similar circles. So if there's someone who is on your Facebook or Instagram, they will also most likely be on my Facebook
Yeah, but you
or
won't go
Instagram.
to the people he's following and see me commenting on every photo and liking
Hold on,
every
I have
photo.
a question. What do I comment?
Well, there's been a
No,
variation.
what do I comment?
No,
What is
you
my
say,
comment?
You say, what do I comment? But there's been
What
variations
do I comment?
of that comment.
That's not true. What
It's
do
the
I
what is
comment?
the-
general.
what is the
Okay,
basis?
the general.
the
the general
general comment
comment
is-
is he's inviting them to his comedy show.
I'm so
But
sorry. I do
I've
that to
seen
everyone indiscriminately.
Very much.
by the way.
I think on that one I saw, "Hey, fellow Muslim, come to me."
Are you done?
And
Are you done?
It's not that he likes her photos; it's he likes certain photos.
So first of all,
Which
I'm Jewish.
photos?
Second of
Is
all,
this like
the concept
is this like backing it up photos?
I don't even remember. I literally do it so indiscriminately.
okay, I
have
just
no
had a
idea.
deposition, so let me ask you: Did you or did you not like the photo when she was posing on the beach?
I don't know.
You don't recall?
I don't recall. I, honestly, to be
He
very
recalls.
honest,
He
no,
recalls.
I really don't, and I'll explain why. So, in my interest of promoting my show Mondays and Thursdays at Laugh Factory 10 p.m. If you DM me, I'll put you on the guest list. I literally tag everyone. If you're in a picture and you tag someone, I will tag them. I will like 6 of their photos, whatever their top 6
exactly
photos are, exactly. So it shows up on their timeline. And then I will comment a cut and paste comment that I have that I do for everyone. Now, at this point, it basically doesn't matter who this person is unless they are outside of my demographic, meaning
Fair.
they're extremely old or extremely young.
Fair.
However,
Have you-
I don't know.
Fair.
People will be like, did you? Oh,
Reclaiming
you
my
just wrote on a
time.
trans person.
Reclaiming my time.
Yes.
Fair. Have you or have you not gone into the people who are following me on my page and go and comment on their pages and like?
No,
That's a lie.
that's not.
Are you lying?
Boy.
No.
Are you lying under oath?
I'm 100%. I've never gone to the people you're
100%.
saying.
Because he claims that they're tagged, but there have been people that were not tagged in
But
anything.
they're not just your friends. They could be someone else's friend. Hold
There
on,
were
Jordan.
no
There's
mutual
no shame
friends.
in your game. You're
Thank
hustling.
you.
I get
hustle.
that.
Thank you, Brianna.
I get
don't-
that. But
I don't
also
hide
tell
it.
him that you go into the. I would do that too.
I don't, but I don't.
He does.
But that's the thing. I don't. What I do is I don't go into anyone's. What I do is if you have a picture and then I see you've tagged someone, I'll go into their picture and then I'll go and I'll keep going.
Exactly.
When I have free time, if I'm just sitting there, if I'm not doing anything, I'm promoting my show because I'm on this grind. So because we have similar friends, he always thinks that I'm targeting his friends. No, George.
No, this-
I have a
this
question.
particular
Let's
friend-
ask you. Do you have an unusually large number of Persian followers?
Thanks to Shaw's.
Why do you have an unusually large number?
Shaws of
How did you get
Sunset.
on?
Through a lady
A lady put you on?
Yes.
How did you meet this
A
lady?
woman.
How did you meet this woman?
outside of a bar.
You met her outside of a bar?
Facts.
Okay. So
I've had practice. Go.
so you didn't, it has nothing to do with me.
Oh, that's a subjective question. Can you restate the question, please? I don't understand your question. Can I have a break with my attorney?
Why don't you
So
The
concept is one of these people, no mutual friends, zero, no mutual friends, was not following Tehran. Tehran was not following her. When you click, on Instagram, when you click on someone's profile, it says
He's
mutual,
following. Yeah.
nothing showed up. How did he find her?
because I don't follow them back.
suggestion?
How did he find her?
Who was this person?
How did he find her?
How was this person?
This is a person who may have come to one of your comedy shows.
Okay, did I not send you
With me.
So George asked me with you.
Yes.
Oh, I have no idea who this
Yes,
person
exactly.
is. So you must have tagged her in a photo.
I've gathered all the information. We will reconvene.
I will say this. Listen, I have
Reclaiming
no
my
idea.
time.
However, I have to send him texts. Someone's like, "Hey, you should invite so and so to my show," and I'll be like, "Okay," and he'll be like, "How did you find her, bro?" You know what, George? Yes. You know what? I don't care.
He admitted
If I was a stand-up and I had a bunch of shows,
Thank
I
you.
would do anything in my power to invite everyone because I
Thank
know
you.
you
Fair.
get paid based on
Every
hits.
human being.
Yeah,
but you'd admit to it.
I'd admit to
But
it.
I do
though.
admit to
Yeah.
listen.
You
I don't care. If I did it, I would say it. This is my one thing. The reason why, and this is, I'm not afraid of anyone except for the police, specifically, and
That's
possibly my
understandable.
parents. So I just don't. If I cared, you only lie when you care. I don't care about feelings enough to lie,
Yeah.
especially about something like this. Like, yeah.
So maybe you didn't
Bro.
realize you did it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you
Just
know
like-
what? If you were a good friend, you would be the one on your friend list inviting everyone to my show.
I do.
That's too much.
Thank you.
I
no,
do, though.
good friend
That's
would
too
do
But
that.
I do.
much.
Good
I
friend
do.
would do
But
that.
you-
And if you took a
every
statistical,
week?
if you took a statistical report of how many times I've posted Tehran and tagged him, and done the same on his end, you would see mine is overwhelmingly higher.
That's actually not true because I post you every single week
You don't. You post Imperfect Gentleman Show.
and I tag you. So that could not
On
be
which
true.
platform?
I tag you
This is for my notes. On which platform?
on Facebook and Instagram
Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Really? How often on Facebook and how often on Instagram?
at least once a week.
I have
Hold,
reason
please.
to believe
Hold,
it.
please. And I present evidence. I'm so sorry. Can everyone can we get this? Can we get this evidence? Do you see Mr. George Corey in this picture?
Yes.
Do you see a tag from Mr. George Corey in this picture?
Yes, I do.
Can I ask you this?
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask you the source of the photo? Who
This-
took that
this
photo?
is- no one. No one.
Who
this
took that
picture.
photo?
No one took this picture.
Can you tell me which mobile device took that
It
photo?
was your mobile device, I believe.
So it was my idea to take the photo.
Okay.
So had I not provided the photo, there would be nothing to tag.
But that would be like saying I don't take photos on my Instagram, so therefore I just don't take pictures. I also have far less pictures on my Instagram than you do by far. in general.
All right. So let's just say.
Hold on. Let's go through my phone and see how many pictures of George I have standing under a pharaoh.
Oh, that was for a specific reason.
I have pictures.
Okay. So clearly, Tehran and I have a bromance
Clearly.
for each other.
Really?
And what we want to know is, what Shakespearean crush do you have?
Who's your Shakespearean crush?
I've actually thought about this. I've had conversations about this in the past. And when I was younger, it was Benedict. And I was thinking, well, that was my original. But now, that sass, I'd be like, hell no, get the fuck out of here.
You don't want the sass?
Now I couldn't handle the sass. I'd be like, just listen to me, love me, the end. So older me would go with Hamlet.
Hamlet.
Yeah.
You feel that Hamlet is more mellow?
No, because he's a little bit neurotic, but he's not sassy. And he also thinks about the meaning of life. He avenges his father's death. He loves Ophelia, and even though she rejects him. And so I feel that he is the deepest and most sincere,
Hamlet?
and he would never give up.
A warrior spirit, perhaps?
Yes. Warrior spirit,
Hamlet?
but he's not like all sassy in my face, like, nah, I'm a little sass cat. Like, ooh, let me just like talk all this stuff and like be so like witty and clever and like, ooh.
Is Tehran a sass cat?
I would say
I am a sass cat.
I would say
I'm
if he
sass cat.
was like a Shakespearean character, I might liken him to Benedict.
Benedict.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. You remind me of Ophelia.
Okay.
Interesting. What happens to Ophelia?
She goes crazy.
And
Dies.
kills herself. Your turn, Sheila.
Okay.
Jeez, Tehran?
Anyways,
nothing to joke
so when I
about.
was younger, my English teacher drilled Hamlet over and over again to us. But what I found out is he's very indecisive. And
Exactly.
so older me does not want a man that
Excellent.
takes a whole
Excellent.
play to figure out what the shit he
Excellent,
wants in
Sheila.
life.
Yes.
Just goddamn do it.
Layers.
Sorry, God. So what I'm saying is now I'm going to go with Lady Macbeth. Even though I'm not lesbian,
Lady
I'm
Macbeth.
drawn to her strength. She was
Strong.
She was strong. She was the one who told
Excellent
her husband
choice.
Poison
what
in
to
ear?
do.
Was that?
Yeah, she was poisoned in the ear, but she got shit done.
Would you poison someone?
You know, if there was a greater good, if that person was evil and that had to go in that time, got to do
Have
what
you
you
I'm
got to do.
poisoned-
I'm starting to like your ways, Sheila. I'm
Thank
starting
you.
to
So I
like your
redeemed
ways.
myself from my lies in the beginning.
You know, I wasn't that upset. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Wow.
you. All right, our popping or stopping. This is a trend that we choose every week, and we need your opinion on. It's a trend men do, and we want to know what your thoughts are.
Popping or
this trend.
stopping?
What is it this week?
Popping means it's awesome. Stopping means don't do it no more. And this week, it is MAGA hats.
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what a
Donald
MAGA hat is? A
Trump,
make
America
great again.
Oh, hell no.
The red-
Kanye
Stop
West
it.
just recently.
Stop
But we're
it.
wearing red.
Yeah, I like the color red. That doesn't mean that I'm.
Is that because you dislike the current political climate?
Yes.
So would you be as upset if someone wore a Bernie hat?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean,
Is it also because of the political climate?
yeah, especially right now, what's going on.
And I don't know if this is bad, Sheila, but Sheila recently had an encounter
with
someone that would wear wear these type
I
of
just
hats.
got
Why,
And I
you were
was
dating
like,
someone who was a
We
MAGA?
were talking,
Okay.
and I realized, like, I cannot. You could try to see eye to eye, but this person would just not budge on a lot of things that, you know.
Yeah,
Trump
I
lovers.
was basically like, we could probably never be in the same room together.
Was this friend introduced to you by Professor X?
Yes.
You know, so interesting. We keep calling Fatima or whatever her name is Professor X. But the concept I'd like to propose is for someone who says they're tolerant, if you can't be in the same room with
Oh,
someone.
I tried it. But it goes beyond that. It goes, he wanted like women to be like barefoot in the kitchen, pregnant.
Love that
like,
guy.
It goes
Who's that
just,
guy?
It's
Give him
not
my
just,
number.
It's not,
You-
because
he
my
would
dad's a
love
Trump
to-
supporter.
yeah.
Like, I have a lot
No
of Trump
way.
supporter friends. I'm fine with that.
But you
it's
love your
not that.
dad.
I love my dad. I love a lot of Trump supporters, but it's not the Trump supporter. It's the inequality towards women.
Love
it's
it.
the inequality towards other races.
Love it. That's my favorite.
Just, it's so much more than that. You know, you could be a Trump supporter and not be racist. You could be a Trump supporter and be a feminist, I guess. But it's the other part that bothers me.
Here's what actually bothers me about.
tell me what bothers
about the
you.
concept of the MAGA hat. When we say no MAGA hats, but Bernie Sanders hats are okay, then we're not actually really veiling ourselves to the ideology of what America is supposed to be. If you do not believe in the freedom of speech for those you disdain, you do not believe in the freedom of speech. So my problem with the MAGA hat is simply, I wouldn't want anyone to have Democrat bumper stickers either. I didn't like the I voted Obama bumper sticker. I just think that your politics should be something you hold personal. If you actually believe in an ideology, you don't have to broadcast it. It's your own personal
Then
conviction.
what about activism? What about making social change?
That's different
if you want
because
to
that's not
eliminate,
politics, that's principles. And I always believe in the activism of a
But
principle.
what if there's a politician who you want to publicly support to get your message across, who will help be a catalyst for your cause?
I understand that, and that's why people wear MAGA hats, and that's why I'm not opposed to them. I personally believe that politics is something we should have a conversation. It's not always black and white. There's a lot of gray area. When we say we're right wing, left wing, we forget oftentimes we're talking about the exact same bird. So we should be a little more understanding about people representing their political ideology and not hate them based on that, because as you said,
I don't hate them based on that.
not
at all.
People are getting upset at those who wear MAGA hats. And if you're not getting as equally upset about people who have the same opinion you do, then you should probably think about why you're actually getting upset.
But we're asking them, Tehran.
Yeah.
We're asking them. They gave their answer.
No.
are
They
the
gave political
expert.
answers. I wanted the trending answer. Is it because we don't like the hat?
Now let me just say this, and I may get in trouble, and I don't care because I stay true to my beliefs. The MAGA hat is beautifully done.
It looks good. That's what it really comes down. It looks so cool.
I love the font.
Why did this guy ruin it? Why did he ruin it?
It looks really good.
It's so good.
And there's something so classic about the font that was used.
It's such a good font.
It's a great font. It's a great looking hat.
The guy ruined it for everyone. He ruined something for
the
us.
designer of the hat did a fantastic job. It would match my outfit. And I would wear it had it not have so many
The
implications.
connotation, yeah.
Not just the connotation, but the consequence. And maybe I am a little on Tehran's side here. I'm going to let y'all be the voice. But I do feel that someone should be able to wear it without getting cursed at, a rock casted at them.
Most people wouldn't wear it for else of being a Trump supporter and wanting to show people that they're a Trump supporter.
They should. And my thing is, you have the right to do so. You should also, if you would.
You should have the right. I'm not denying the right at all.
The same
I'm
people
just
would
saying,
get mad at Obama hats.
If I saw a person walking down the street, they had a MAGA hat on, I'm not going to be like, oh, let me go talk to that person.
Sure.
I'm going to be avoidant of that
divisive,
person.
and that's what guys should be aware of. It's a divisive hat. So you're looking, but at the same time, it's if that's the kind of person you're looking for, someone who is into that, then maybe it's a good thing. Then you can attract like minds.
Honestly, for those like the guy Sheila was talking to, maybe if a girl was wearing that hat, it would be like a hello. I'm wearing this hat. We're into the same beliefs. We should talk to each other. It could be a connector, actually.
So question. Kanye West recently wore the MAGA hat
on SNL
and also wore a Colin Kaepernick shirt.
He would.
Does that now, if someone's pairing the MAGA hat with a Colin Kaepernick shirt, does that show a different message to you?
He's a Gemini. Is that like the most Gemini thing that ever happened in history?
I'm starting to think Brianna has a thing with Zodiac.
Maybe. But if you see someone, if you see someone wearing two different messages, would you think that they're more open-minded and then maybe engage them?
I would think that they're attention-seeking and maybe open-minded, but also wanting to possibly stir some controversy and have people talk about them. Probably.
Yeah, it's opening dialogue. It's definitely like an icebreaker for anyone.
That's interesting. I mean, it's just an interesting concept of what people are what's going on in the world today. Do we have a question from a listener?
We do have a question from our listener. She wants to have your advice as our guest.
Shannon, I believe her name is.
Shannon?
And I just want to preface it by I met Shannon at an event, and she came up to me and she was like, I came to a show and had a great time, and then I listened to your show, your radio show with George every week, and she was a wonderful person.
Shannon, first of all, thank you so much for listening to our show weekly.
And that's why we seeked her question. She's like, I'm going to send a question. Mm-hmm. She notified me because usually we get so many questions and we pick them randomly.
And we really appreciate each and every supporter.
Thank you.
Follow us on Imperfect G Show on all social media
and email us your questions at
imperfectshow@gmail.com.
Okay. So
Shannon, we're going to get to it.
This one's good.
Okay. Shannon says, so I'm in my 30s. I've never been in a relationship, and I lack experience in dating. I want to date, and the advice that I never ask for, but always seem to receive from friends and family is that I should put myself out there. In quotation marks, put myself out there. Listen.
Sounds familiar.
I was just going to say this.
I don't even know what that means
Sheila's.
because I'm out here, or at least I think I am. I don't want to be aggressive to get a guy's attention, so I'm not sure what people mean when they say to put myself out there. Each year that passes, I get a bit more concerned because I don't want to be a 40-year-old virgin. Aww. And at some point, I want a family, but I'm beginning to think I might just have to get rich and live my Oprah life, and maybe I'll meet a Stedman along the way. I guess what I'm asking is if you guys have any tips, and can you please define for me what putting myself out there looks like?
Sheila's advice is going to be, well, I have a friend named George, and
he's a great guy.
And you're not, and you'll get along perfectly.
Yeah,
well, I feel like for this girl, first of all, don't feel bad because some of us blossom later. And secondly, live your Oprah life, because I feel like if you're living your best life and you're being a strong, independent woman, then people will be attracted to your strength. But people mean putting yourself out there. Go on dating websites and apps and whatnot.
Interesting.
Because that's out of your box,
I definitely put myself out there because I grew up in a very sheltered environment, and I realized that just blew up in my face.
In Mexico.
Exactly. In my Adobe hut. So yes, put yourself out there, but the best way to do so is just being with people that you trust, like George here, people that recommend their friends. I know you've done that in the past with George. And
I have ooped George many times. George can't even get me people to come to my show. I've ooped George
Maybe
many times.
I didn't realize this was like a history thing.
I
Deep.
ooped George. I ooped George.
This goes deep. And I may have been a little difficult on my
He has met
co-host.
several people in his life.
And honestly, I would give Tehran anything I had, and I'm not remotely offended about what he does promoting himself. I just like to kind of push his buttons to get a reaction about him because I don't get enough validation that he really
He doesn't seem like the validating type.
wants
In
me
fact,
as a
I would
friend.
say you're probably the opposite
needs
of
a
that.
hug.
Yeah.
I
And the
would
fact
say-
is, Tehran, none of the little bickering I did to you matters. What matters is us, and I'd appreciate if a little more you could show some affection.
You know what,
He's
George?
like
Hug
affection
it
grows.
out.
And on
vomit.
top of that, it was your birthday.
Yes.
And you know what? No, I just don't know. I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm cool.
Okay,
I'm
so
chilling,
you're
my
too
dude.
cool for school. Sheila, you grew up sheltered. You're putting yourself out there. You're trying at least. Now, can you tell Shannon how that may have been beneficial to you?
Well, online dating wasn't beneficial for me because it's just a pool of fish, and a lot of them you want to throw back into the water. What's efficient?
But what if you get a catfish?
I want that one, yeah. No, I think the best way is to meet people in your natural environment through friends, through work, mutual interests.
Through friends at a party we invite you to, and then you just bring her onto George.
It was a social
Or you could date
experiment.
George.
Interesting.
Is the agreement.
I think everyone should just take their time and do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And because I'm not in that situation, I don't know how it must feel. I do know that the longer that you go on doing something, the more used to it you'll be. And it was something, George, who was your friend that gave you that advice? As you get older, you'll just get more used to, and you can't change your ways. That's why you should be with someone younger.
Oh, when he said older, I thought you were talking about another friend. But my one friend basically told me, he said, George, this is when I was in my 20s. I was dating a young woman who was also in her 20s. We had a lot of compatibility. She was so sophisticated, so knowledgeable, so charismatic, so caring.
What's compatible again?
I'd like to think that she brought in those traits out.
No,
of
you
me.
guys were good together.
She was
Definitely
that
good
good.
together.
Well, my mentor,
For the most part, there were parts that she brought out the
mom,
worst in you too.
the mom,
Sure.
and the best friend. So
100% the best
yeah,
friend.
so the mentor,
Best friend was Satan.
the best friend did something. The best friend invited me out to dinner. I go to dinner while she was out of the country. You know, we're all friends. So I go to this dinner, and I can't make this up. At the dinner table were 6 guys who had previously hooked up with my girlfriend.
Wow.
That's some evil stuff. Anyways, the point is, my mentor at the time.
The fact that your girlfriend didn't hooked up with 6 guys at that age, we should talk about that too.
My mentor at the time
Yes.
told me, marry her. Said, I'm not ready for marriage. I have my own career goals. I want to move to LA. Said, marry her, George, because the older you get, the more time passes, the harder it is to make compromises
Oh, I
That's
so
real.
agree with that.
for a partner
real.
because you
Definitely.
become so set in your ways.
Oh,
you
Yeah.
become so
100%.
individualized, used to your schedule, used to
Yep.
things you like
Yep.
to eat, used to things you
100%.
don't like to
Yep.
eat.
Yep.
And you know what? Looking back, I have had this challenge.
That's amazing. I've been
And-
like that since I was like 5. So
Yes.
I can't imagine what's like.
Right.
like
This is a-
exactly.
this is a guy-
I'm a perfect example
This is
of
a
that.
guy.
Yeah.
This is a guy
I was like
who
that
told his
in
grandma.
my teens.
Told his grandma he didn't need her. He liked her, but didn't need her. At
I
5.
could see that.
Wow.
I could
Five.
see that.
And said, "I am the star of this family. You listen to me, Grandma." At 5,
Wow.
there's a tape of this.
That is a
somewhere.
true. That is a true statement. Actually.
So I like Shannon. I like the fact that Teron brought this up because he touched on something real. Shannon, I know that sometimes putting yourself out there actually can have a negative connotation, like she's out there or he's a little out there. You know,
Oh, I like it. I'm like, I'm
you know,
out there.
some-
Hello, what's up?
Sometimes it's a pressurized thing to hear, like, oh, I'm in the public eye, I'm in the spotlight. So maybe, Shannon, you have some hesitation of that. Maybe you're not ready to just be in the center of madness. But I'm glad Teron brought this up, because if you don't soon start to try to engage others and try to have that level of interaction where you may be making smaller compromises or you may be understanding people are different, we still get along. The more time passes, Shannon, the harder it is to get there. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that you're in this current situation you're in. You just haven't made that decision to try. And reading your question, I think, Shannon, you're ready to make that decision. And I support you in making that decision. And simply don't make it a forced thing. Just say, okay, I have this thought. I want to meet. I want to interact. Use the law of attraction. Have that thought in your head and be more open to the signs of people around you who may want to engage in conversation and see where it goes.
Do you, boo-boo? So our topic this week.
I'm going to let you take this one, Teron.
Why? No, I need you to.
Our topic this week
You're grown up.
is SEX.
No.
norm.
What, what is that? Like
6
a
norms.
banking
6
institution? What?
6 laws of Sukes. My mom listens to this show.
What's the use the word for gender? What's the proper word for gender? Sex norms.
Norms.
Which, by the way, as a kid, I had such a big problem when it came to that, and I had to like ask my parent,
Yeah.
like sex, male or female. I just check it. I
You
wouldn't
just
ask.
check it. You
I didn't like
ask.
saying the word
You
sex
would
to my
You
parents.
would
Yeah.
guess right, though,
That
right?
would, I mean, it's my
And,
gender, but I mean, the concept is.
Yeah.
So we're talking about sex norms and what is an acceptable sexuality amongst people who are engaging in sex?
Activities, rituals.
Just proclivities in general, simply because it's interesting when it comes to partners being involved in sex, how to bring it up, and what is okay and acceptable and what's not.
Especially on the first time having sex.
First time is always just like people who come to me and tell me, oh yeah, just had another one night stand. I'm like, you just have horrible sex all the time. You can't do the shit you want the first night out. You have to work up to it sometimes. You can't just like, oh look, my thumb's in your asshole. No, you need to work up to thumb in your butthole.
And you have to work up on it because society gives us these norms.
Yes.
What are the norms, and are they truly norms, or are there other things that should be accepted as norms? So we want to really hear on what the line is, where to draw the line, what is normal, what is okay.
What's the weirdest thing a guy has ever wanted or expected from you sexually, and how did that come about?
I'm gonna hand the mic to Brianna here.
Sure.
What's something I can say?
Too many examples.
That you can say? That you can say.
No,
Well, we want to hear the
also
things that you can say.
All these things are hypothetical. I don't need to know about your personal
Yeah, it
life.
doesn't have
If
to
you
be
don't feel
personal.
comfortable putting
So
your
if
life
you have
out
a
there.
friend named Sally who's done some of these things, tell us about Sally.
I mean, I would say sex norms, the normal. I recently went on a date, and the date didn't go well, but he still wanted to kiss me. So I think, sometimes guys don't realize that they feel kind of entitled. A little entitled to. And then my friend was dating this guy. She said that she has sex after 8 dates.
Eight?
This is who.
It's specifically 8 dates?
8 dates. I was like, okay. Because I always thought like 4 or 5, that would be like a norm.
8 is my favorite number because it stands for infinity. But go on. I want to hear why the 8.
Because apparently, like after 8, you really get to know the person. And so that was her. They broke up because he couldn't wait to 8. And yeah, and he still follows her on Instagram, and this is like a major issue for her. But yeah, I would say that's pretty. I mean, I haven't had sex in a long time, just being honest. So.
You should always be honest. Here's
So
the thing.
There's like a standard protocol to
Have sex?
Yeah.
Well, my problem with
mean-
your friend that has 8 dates, I actually have an issue with that, because it means that anyone that goes on 8 dates with her will eventually have sex. So when a piece of art is $100 million sold at the auction, sure, it's expensive, but anyone with $100 million can buy that piece of art.
True.
In fact, how do you know art is priceless? Is they don't sell it. It can't be bought. They literally donate it to the person that's worthy. There is no, it's like, oh, the Smithsonian can house this art because they're worthy. It has nothing to do with the price, and that's how they keep it priceless. So while 8 dates is a steep price, because the average date price of $400 in LA, that's an expensive date. You're getting to $3,200 worth of dates before you can hit. It's still a finite price that's
There is
made.
also a statistic, just want to add on, not directly related, that 55% of people have sex on the first date.
I believe that. I mean, especially
LA?
in LA and in New York.
Yeah.
That's
I may have said the statistic wrong. 55% of couples have had sex on the first date.
couples. So
couples.
they're in a relationship. I mean, I used to be a Lyft driver, and I would ask people like,
Whoa, I thought you were. I used to be a Lyft driver. I used to fuck passengers all the time.
On the first drive.
I never ended up in a relationship with any of them. Go on. I apologize.
But a lot of the people did say that they were having sex, and so they just decided to be in a relationship.
Wow.
So I think girls.
That's kind of how sex kind of works in a lot. That's how relationships work a lot.
I
too.
kind of see sex as like, you can't have sex with a guy immediately because then he's just gonna hit it and quit it, So
in many cases, I can understand that.
So I think, you shouldn't do it on the first date. I mean, unless that's what you want, because maybe you just need a little fix.
Okay, all right. So it's now past the first date.
What are some sex norms?
Yeah, so there's a mutual understanding that there's two willing partners. They want to have sex. They're having sex. What should men know the do's and don'ts the first time?
Don't bite your vagina. Like if a guy's going down, I've had a guy and I'm like, this is like a little, like this isn't like a sandwich, you know? So that I
I've
would
never
say,
bitten a vagina, so I don't know.
I've had that unfortunately happen.
Maybe he has overbite and it wasn't on purpose.
I think some people are unaware. They maybe don't have a lot of experience.
Sure.
I don't know why they don't teach, like, instead of like sex ed in school, they should teach like, this is how to have good sex or bad
Here's
sex.
how you have consensual sex. Of course, they really should.
And then also guys, I mean, I feel like a lot of guys, they're having sex for themselves and they don't really care about the other person.
Oh.
And so it's not enjoyable. But like, I mean, I've had an orgasm from sex many of times, but it was with somebody who put my needs before their own.
Or shared those needs, right? Sheila, do you agree with everything that Brianna's saying?
Yeah, sharing needs for sure. But I think that takes time. Like you said, it's not going to be the first go. You're going to have to get to know each other. And for me, I've never had an orgasm during sex ever. In fact, I was waiting for marriage for a long time. And then I didn't want to be that 40-year-old virgin. It just got ridiculous. And I feel like for women, there's that emotional aspect. Yeah. And if you don't hit that button, then nothing's going to work in
How
the bedroom.
can we as men tap more into the emotional aspect versus the physical?
Here's the thing, which Sheila's talking about. The reason I haven't had sex in such a long time is because as soon as I have sex with a guy, I want to nest. You know, it's like that oxytocin releases. Yeah. I want to nest with you. I want to be with you. I want to touch you. Like, I'm thinking about you all the time. And if I don't have sex with that person, like, it's just night and day. If I have sex with them, that happens. And if I don't have sex with them, that doesn't happen.
Is that the same sensation I get sometimes? Teron and I will hang out. We'll go to Earth Cafe.
No, it's not.
On a Sunday, and I'll want to nest.
Whatever it is, it's
and
not.
Go there every day to Earth Cafe. And he says, no, George, not every day.
That's probably very
I don't think
similar.
it's the same. I don't think it has to do.
It seems a little similar to me.
I don't think it's the same.
I think you understand what I'm getting
Yes,
at.
I do.
It's not
I'm
the same.
understanding. Chemicals.
I want to know specifically what is acceptable on a first encounter sexually.
I think definitely having full understanding that this is what she wants, and she's
So
not.
what are those things that you want?
Well,
Kissing?
first of all,
Kissing is acceptable?
Is
Okay.
definitely acceptable, and then
No nibbling on vagina. We got that part.
But when it comes to like maybe nibbling on the ear, sure, on the neck, why not? Maybe the chest, but once you start touching,
But don't leave any marks because that's very unprofessional.
Right.
Just to let you know.
I'm professional.
right? Just like if you go into like her breasts or her vagina, you definitely want to know from the female that she wants that, and the best way is she grabs your hand and puts it there. But if she doesn't,
So how do you know if she's not aggressive? Then how do you know?
you can ask her, like, is it okay? And you might kill the mood,
Questions.
but
Questions.
you can say in a sexy way.
See, I don't like that.
Questions.
You don't
But
like
I'm
what?
different. I would say I'm different. Like, I want to tell you what to do. Like, I don't really, if somebody asks me questions, I'm just going to be like, hush, hush, hush.
Right, or you grab her.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know.
So
Do
you
really
like to be
questions?
the alpha sexually.
Yes.
That's her. Yeah, that's where we're different.
Yeah, we're
We would-
definitely different in that
In the-
department.
yeah.
We would have
It
never
seems like
seen
you
that difference in your personalities.
Enjoy the extreme alpha, leaning into almost a dominatrix situation.
Has
Leaning.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
So if I'm asking something that's inappropriate, I apologize. But that's from your reaction and response to that, and the way you're like, I want to tell you, hush, hush, hush. And that way you're emasculating the person.
If you're gonna
that you
repeat
like to-
what you said, do it right. She said, "I want to tell you, hush, hush, hush."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Thank
used
you.
a hand movement.
Thank you. Can you?
Yeah, I don't know though. Do you,
illustrate the hand
Sheila?
movement? Thank you.
Hush, hush, hush.
Thank you.
Brianna.
Do you really like when they ask you though?
They is meaning your partner. So I'm getting definitely more of a. Now you're just completely
See,
when
I
they
am-
ask you. Interesting.
My take on it is especially with everything going on in our world, consent seems to be a priority.
It should
as
be a
man.
priority.
So we ask questions to make sure we have consent.
True.
Does that come across a little too technical? How do we know when the act gets to that point where, okay, we are going to go into a sexual interaction? Because a kiss doesn't mean that.
I mean, I make bitches sign a contract, so
What?
That's probably a good idea.
sign
actually,
that shit right now.
that's a
He
good
made me
idea in
sign
this
a
world.
piece of paper. What?
I mean, I've had other guy
Yeah.
friends
Are you
say
calling
that.
me a B word?
I'm just saying. Listen, what? What?
I've
happened?
had
made
other
me
guy
sign an
friends say, like,
NDA.
I think I need to have chicks sign a contract.
I have
in the
a
environment that
concept.
we live
It's a
in.
verbal contract you have, and it's a So now let's get past the point of consent. We're consensually engaging in sex. What are sexual norms? Like, we have not yet defined them. We keep saying we're talking around them. And what I'm getting is the sexual norms differ from person to person. But what do you think are general sexual norms for people to realize this is okay, this is a conversation? Sexual norms include
Sex, kissing, blowjobs. I would say
So sexual-
fingering,
Okay.
nipple play.
where
I
are
would
we
say those are norms.
Where are we fingering?
Vagina.
Vaginal fingering is acceptable.
Yes.
So let's say someone wants to probe into anal fingering, or let's say someone wants to get into more extreme oral sex. How do you differentiate between the two?
What do you mean differentiate?
How do you differentiate between what's acceptable and what's not when it comes to?
Well, I would say what's acceptable is just like what you see on movies and TV generally.
We might not watch the same movies. In TV.
Okay, well,
Not all of us watch
you know,
50 Shades of Grey.
Well, when you're younger, I think that you with your friends at school, you're like first base is this, second base is that.
So that
third
would be
base
the
is
worst.
that.
That would be the worst advice to ever give a guy, because things
Well,
that
I'm
guys
just
talk
saying.
about at the quote unquote locker room talk
Locker room
is
talk.
like what someone would think is acceptable is not hearing from female panelists what is actually acceptable.
I'm telling you what's
guys talk
acceptable.
are the worst. The things we say.
Oh,
so
I'm
if I was
sure.
learning
I
from a
believe you.
guy friend at 13, I would be like, yeah, and then I fisted her. That's first base, right? So that's the concept.
Well, what she said, what she listed, those are
Yeah,
the norms. And
those are
anything
the
like,
norms.
but
beyond,
kissing, we had kissing,
fingering vagina,
fingering,
nipple play,
and oral sex.
oral sex, and sex. Those
Missionary
are sex
position,
norms.
doggy style. So now we're getting into the specifics. So once we get past, let's say, doggy style, and we're doing more, there are other positions. What if I reverse cowgirl? Where are we getting to, which is a norm?
I mean, I think any position during sex is going to be okay. Someone's not going to be like,
Unless-
reverse cowgirl.
I mean,
that's the position of the devil. I can't do that.
I have
It's
a
the
It's
bad
interesting.
norm.
There will be, though. There could be.
I have a
I don't- I
bad
don't
back, for my injuries, which y'all know about. And I have limitations. So is that a turnoff? If so, on the flip end, if you wanted to go outside the norm and a guy couldn't,
He's talked about that often, actually. That's when guys talk. George will express he was in like an accident, and then he has a bad back, and because of this, he has some.
So I feel I can't go outside the norm sometimes, and maybe someone wants to.
Yeah.
Is that a big turnoff?
And it's actually
Well,
led to a
if
breakup.
somebody wants to go outside of the
Affected you.
norm, and like for example, if you can't do like reverse cowgirl or some other position like that, that's a turnoff for that person. But I don't think that's because I know some people, and the only position they want to have is missionary.
What is
So-
mission? what does-
Missionary is a girl on bottom, guy on top, face to face.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Mission.
like, I mean, you might meet that person, and then that's the only thing that they want. So I think
I
it's
might
just
actually fall asleep if that was the case.
What
I
about-
might actually literally fall asleep on the girl like,
What about
Oh, you done?
things
Oh.
like I may or may not have had a cool Halloween costume and I wanted to wear it to the bedroom once?
see, that's not a first day thing. That's a conversation. That becomes a
Is
conversation.
that why I never got a call back? No,
That's a conversation.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
You dressed up like a pharaoh, bro.
So girls are into
Allegedly.
But it's a conversation.
Would that be outside of a norm?
that's outside of a norm. Any kind of like role play thing, because some people would be like, "What am I not enough for you? Is this not enough?" So you have to have that conversation to make your partner feel secure. Because role playing can easily, I mean, so many things can be misinterpreted, and role playing is one of those things where it can make somebody feel like they're not enough or they're less than, instead of you're just thinking like, oh, this is fun. I'm going to be a pharaoh. You're going to be like a fairy or a queen or, I don't know, a secretary or something. But they can totally take that in a different direction.
So a guy has sex with a woman. She pulls out a toy. Should the guy feel emasculated?
I think if the guy is comfortable with his sexuality,
Yeah, that's hot.
And is that a norm? Are toys a norm?
I would think that's also a conversation, maybe.
That's
that's
100% a conversation.
Like you pull out like a foot long dildo like, and hit him in the face. That's a conversation. You might want to talk about that.
conversation.
You might want to talk.
Definitely.
So we're looking at norms as anything within the realm of just. And how do you get into something that's outside of a norm? So now that we've defined what a norm possibly is, how do you make that acceptable? What's the best way to do that?
I mean, you guys have to be engaging in the norm more than a couple of times, and then I feel like if you want to
So it's a couple times.
Yeah, a couple of times you get used to that, and then you kind of have a discussion.
Does
About
the
doing more.
discussion happen at Starbucks or does it happen during the norm? Where does the discussion?
I think during the
And
norm,
when?
like, hey, like, let's try this, and then I'm not good with that. I mean, Brianna, she doesn't like conversations in the bedroom apparently, or interviews. But for me, I'm okay. Like, talk to me, babe. What you want? And then I
But
express myself.
Here's the thing. What if because you said have a norm a couple times and then it's a conversation. Well, what if that precludes what happened before? Because if we aren't sexually compatible in the future, then we shouldn't be sexually active now
Right.
in the present.
Right.
And so isn't it a conversation before anything gets to that point?
I mean, if that's what gets you off and that's what you need in the bedroom, definitely that should be prefaced before you do anything sexual.
I think there's two situations. I think there is, like we were talking about, compromises before.
Sure.
And I think some people think like, and I've actually heard this from a few people. They're like, oh, maybe one day. Like, they're like, oh, I'm into role playing. One day, let's just continue to have sex. One day I'll be into that. And I don't really think that that's the best way to go about it because they never get into that.
You need to communicate.
And that ends up being a huge problem in the future. But I think if you go into it saying, hey, I want to role play, like right off the bat, yes, it's a good idea because you're going into it stating your wants and your needs and you're never going to have a confusion. Mm-hmm. But I do think that will scare people off at the same time.
So what we're understanding is the best advice is simply to have communication, direct communication,
Yes.
conversation with your potential partner and understand where you both stand sexually. And even though it's awkward and uncomfortable at times,
Yes.
it's better safe than sorry.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for being
Summed
on the
up
show.
Very well.
That's
Thank
what's
you.
up.
And our imperfect gentleman of the week?
Our imperfect gentleman of the week this week is going to be Dr. Ford, who is in the moment testifying regarding her version of the experience that she experienced with possible nominee Brett Kavanaugh for Supreme
and we
Court
are
Justice.
applauding her and awarding her for the fact that she is vocalizing her experiences
Definitely.
and has motivated others to vocalize as well.